Hello, welcome to Legal Action. My name is David Siegel. Today we're going to be talking about the foreclosure crisis, in particular the mortgage business and the real estate market in general and how it all correlates to this foreclosure crisis. I'm joined once again by my co-host Jesse Barrientos. Jesse, welcome. And today we're honored to have David Hochberg, the president of Townstone Financial, who is a licensed mortgage broker, as our guest. Who better than to talk about the current real estate market as it relates to mortgages and the foreclosure crisis than you? And by the way, you also have your own show, the Townstone Financial Show.
Yep.
And this is kind of similar. We're going to talk about some of the similar topics that we did. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself and what you do.
I am David Hochberg, president of Townstone Financial. We're a residential mortgage broker and banker. We're located on the west side of the city, licensed in 5, 6 different states. We help people find loans that best fit their specific needs in their specific situation and find the financing. That's what we do. That's what a mortgage broker does. So, deal with many different people all throughout the day with a bunch of different scenarios, and I know you guys want to talk about foreclosures, and that's
Let's talk about the current pulse of the real estate market as it sits right now.
Okay.
What are you seeing out there? You're taking the calls on these.
The current pulse is that a lot of people are getting more and more desperate. A lot of people think that their house is worth more than it really is. A lot of people are coming to the realization that their 2-year ARM and 3-year ARM, that you guys might want to call teaser rates, but they were 3-year fixed loans, in my opinion, 2-year fixed loans.
Well, that's not my word. That's the Secretary of the Treasury, Mr. Polson, called it a teaser rate.
Everybody thinks they're teaser rates. You know, these teaser rates that or ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, that have been around for well over 40 years. If you Google the word adjustable rate mortgage, you will see the same stories that are being written now were written in the 70s.
But not in the magnitude. It's not 50 million loans outstanding right now. 10 million are adjustable rate mortgages. It's never been at that percentage.
I understand that, but the people that signed those closing documents to get into those loans clearly signed those documents that stated on the good faith estimate and on the truth in lending. I'm sorry, not the good faith estimate, on the truth in lending document, which is a federal document in every single closing package.
And the lender accepted that in their underwriting process. There's no question about that.
Exactly. So the borrower signed a legal document that stated that your loan will be fixed for this amount of time at this payment, and after that payment, it will adjust to this. Okay, it's clearly right on the truth in lending. It's not hidden. Okay, and everybody wants to say disclosures, that's fine. But what's happening is, the pulse is that the people are realizing that the party's over. The people are realizing that the game is up. The last breath
The jig is up.
The jig is up, okay? For the past...
The quote sticks.
Well, exactly. I mean, what's happening is this. If you take a look at where the 30-year fixed has been, it's been under 7% for the past 3 years.
Historically low.
Historically low. People flying planes into buildings. Our whole economy crashed. The prime rate dropped. Money was flowing. Everybody was getting loans. The people that went into subprime loans that are now being foreclosed upon, if they worked and cleaned up their credit, if they positioned themselves into a better position during the first 24 months of that 2-year ARM, that subprime boogeyman loan that they went into and they agreed to go into. If they spent the time cleaning themselves up, they could have been in a 30-year fixed loan under 7%.
But maybe they should have never been in. Maybe they should have been renting until they clean themselves up and then get more of a conventional loan. I think that's the argument.
But, you know, it's the American dream. Everybody wants a home. Everybody wants a white picket fence. You know, you want a place for your family, for your wife, and something to call your own. You know, so, you know, people are willing to do whatever it is.
Everyone was sold on the dream.
Sold on the dream. But if you get into a situation where, you know, somebody tells you can do that and, you know, without maybe... You don't look at the other, you know, don't look at what's going to happen 2 years or 3 years from now because they're living from paycheck to paycheck.
They're living for today. Here, the bottom line is this, guys. Owning real estate is not a right. It's a privilege. Okay? You have to show the bank that you are responsible. You have to prove to yourself, and you have to be ready to get into the real estate world. Everybody wants to say the real estate game. It's not a game. It's not a game. It's a lifestyle. It's a profession. Okay, how many people do you know? I can't tell how many people I talk to, but how many people do you know said, I have to get involved in this game because somebody's putting 5% down on new construction and they didn't even close and they're already up 50 grand because of appreciation. Okay, I mean, everybody at this table knows at least 5 or 6 people that did that. Okay, and that was the game. A lot of people got caught up in that. A lot of people borrowed the 5% out of their home to put the VIG down on the new deal. But now that new deal isn't up 5, 10, 15%. It's going the other way. Right. And now they have to close on that property and take a loss. Before, they never used to have to come up with the down payment. They never used to have to come up with the closing costs because they would flip that property before the closing, pocket a quick 15, 20, 30 G's. Everything was legal.
Isn't this just another circumstance of aggressive lending? I do a lot of bankruptcy work.
Yeah.
People are over their head with credit card debt because they're getting offers. They're using the card. They like the freedom. They like the ability of paying sometime down the road. And it becomes almost like an addiction, and they're drowning. The same thing now seems to have happened in the last 3 years. You said it was the wild, wild west.
Yep.
People were getting the ability to get homes where they maybe couldn't have gotten into 3 to 5 years prior.
Yep.
And now they're realizing, I can't really make this payment. I could make the payment now, but I can't make it once it adjusts and resets.
How many people are buying homes that you know, that you've done closings for, out in the western suburbs, in areas that you never heard of 5 years ago, because there were farmlands out there? And everybody moved out there to buy their $400,000 home and $500,000 home. But the problem is, when you move out to an area where there were farmlands, and you had one police station, and you had one fire station, now you've got a mass influx of people. What do you need? You need more services. You need more police. You need more fire. You need more hospitals. You need more high schools. All that stuff is paid by who? The people that moved out there.
More money.
Okay, so now you've got a tax bill that's due on a $400,000 property that you were anticipating to be 1.5%, because that's what it is in Cook County. Now it's 2.5% of the appraised value. These people are looking at tax bills on a $400,000 house at $9,000, $10,000 a year. And they have no money set up to pay for those taxes. Right. Whose fault is that? Nobody put a gun to their head to move to that $400,000 house in the middle of no place, but now they got to pay the price. I get calls every week. Oh, the tax bill's come up. It's been 2 years. We can't afford the taxes. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know.
Well, that's another system that's breaking all around us. The real estate taxes are going crazy.
And the value of their homes isn't appreciating where they could take money out because they didn't put any money down to buy the house.
Right.
So now
they got the two packages.
They got an 80-20 loan.
Exactly right.
No money down. Now they're thinking their price is going to go up 5%. Okay, you got a 5% bump on a $500,000 house. You're up 25 G's. You could redo the loans back in the day. When the money was flowing and people were buying houses and the appreciation kept going up, there was room. Now there's no room.
Let's look ahead 18 months when a lot of these mortgages that are resetting, some people are going to be obviously displaced. Can you picture the scenario with a glut of homes on the market, people with inabilities to sell? What do you see?
I think what you're going to see is that whenever it's bad news for one, it's good opportunity for another. Okay, I think you've got a lot of people. I know there's a ton of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for it to continue to go down. Okay, you've got people graduating college and twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. Right? I'm sorry, in the summer and in the fall. Right? June and December, the semester. Those kids coming out of college are going to have an excellent opportunity to buy real estate. This is the best time to buy real estate within the past 5 to 7 years, because you're getting bargains on everything. And you've got an opportunity to choose. Before, you put a sign in the front lawn, and you'd have 5 offers. If you put it in Monday, you'd have 5 offers by Friday, and you'd have a closing 30 days later. Okay, now, whenever there's a downturn in one segment, it's an opportunity for somebody else. Okay, I've got investors coming to me, when do I think it's a good time to buy? If you could afford it now and make money now, now's the time to buy.
But it's like timing the market. We're in no way at the bottom. There's no way we're at the bottom.
You got to hang on to it, though. I mean, you got to just weather the storm.
You got to weather the storm. It's like anything else. If you think, pick a stock, Budweiser, Coca-Cola, whatever. If you see Coca-Cola sliding, and you're like, oh, it's at 27. I think it's going to hit 25. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and put my order in at 25. All of a sudden it gets down to 25 and a half, and you're sitting back waiting for it to hit 25, and all of a sudden it's at 28. Well, you don't know where the bottom is until you're swimming in that pool and feeling the tide. Okay? It's going to turn, and when it turns, it's going to come back quick. Okay? You've got builders going out of business. You've got builders building products when they shouldn't have been building products, but they had to because they had their construction loans and they had to build this product. You've got builders giving $40,000 basements. You've got builders giving away cars. I mean, you've got incentives going on. That's good for the marketplace because the buyer is getting a lot more than they would have in the past.
Yeah. going to be a wait and see. Let's move towards the legal end of this, the congressional activity that's going on at the state level with SB 1167. Can you describe to the listeners what that is and what it's all about and what do you see happening here?
What SB 1167 is an agglomeration of a bunch of bad bills. Okay, it started out as, I believe it was House Bill 1478, and then it turned into something, 1163, and then it turned into 1167. The bottom line is this. The House of Representatives, which is controlled by Speaker Madigan, okay, felt that he had to pass a predatory lending bill. Okay, and what this bill is, this is a bad bill. Okay, if you want to stop predatory lending, if you want to stop foreclosures, then let's put everybody on an equal playing field and judge everybody by the same report card. Okay, the IDFPR governs. The Illinois Department for Professional Regulations governs. Everybody, basically, if you need a license in the state of Illinois, you go to the IDFPR. Correct? Correct. So mortgage brokers are under that, state banks are under that, state savings and loans are under that, and state credit unions are under that.
And what is not under that?
Federally chartered banks. Because the federally chartered banks are controlled by the federal government, and the federally chartered banks, the states can't get to the federally chartered banks, so they're exempt. Because the federally chartered banks, as we all know, never do anything wrong, and they're squeaky clean. Savings and loan debacle in the 80s, let me refresh your memory. Okay, they almost took the economy out. But, you know, they're regulated by the feds, so the state can't mess with them. So we've got this bill on the governor's desk right now that basically says if you do a loan in Cook County that's originated by a mortgage broker, nothing to do with the state-regulated bank, nothing to do with the state-regulated savings and loan and credit, just by a mortgage broker, even though the other three are regulated by the same governing body.
Right off the bat, it sounds like an anti-broker bill.
Well, it's
an anti-predatory lending bill.
Well, it should be 1167, put mortgage brokers out of business bill. Okay, so you got the mortgage brokers over here. And it basically says, in a nutshell, and a bunch of other things, because they basically threw this stuff on top of 1167 at the last minute, because the other two bills couldn't fly on their own legs. So Speaker Madigan, the powerful man that he is, threw it onto 1167 and rammed it right on through the bill. Okay, you know, the House and the Senate. All right? Long story short is this. If you do an interest-only loan with a mortgage broker, if you do a 3-year and under ARM with a mortgage broker, if you're a first-time home buyer with a mortgage broker, or if you do a stated income or no documentation loan with a mortgage broker in the county of Cook, you have to go through credit counseling, or you have to be registered on a state, this is the beautiful part, on a state-secured database. The mortgage professional has to enter all of that information, if you fall under those 4 loans, into a state-secured database, which, by the way, was broken into in January.
That's scary on a number of levels.
It doesn't matter. It was broken into, it was so secure it was broken into in January, okay, because it's the same website that my license is on. So we have to put Social Security numbers, we have to put addresses, we have to put bank account numbers, checking account numbers, all your numbers have to go into this database.
All your financials, basically.
Everything, okay? It gets better. Please, you know, you're making a face, it gets better. So then, those people, if you're a 700 credit score and attorney and want to come to me and do an interest-only loan, you probably have to go to credit counseling that for some reason I have to pay $300 for you to go to. Okay?
Oh, it's your expense.
It's my expense. It's my expense. Goes to a credit counselor that they have to take a time off. They have to take time off of work to go to a credit counselor. That this credit counselor, who knows what their qualifications are, sits you down, educated man, you graduated law school, is going to tell you about the benefits and the negatives of an interest-only loan. And I have to pay for it, and then you have to wait for a certificate to come from them to go to a closing. Now, I represent Chase Manhattan Bank, so if you went to Chase Manhattan Bank to get that same 5-year interest-only loan, you wouldn't have to go to counseling.
It's just having to go through the broker. It seems like they're opening up a whole new business for the counseling as well. Or
they're putting barriers in front of brokers' doors. Fact, from Record Information Services in Caneville, Illinois, 60% of the loans originated in Northern Illinois were originated by mortgage professionals. It's a fact. 50% of the foreclosures in Northern Illinois were originated by mortgage brokers. So what does that mean? The other 50% were originated by somebody else, which means the federally chartered bank, state-chartered savings and loans, state-chartered banks, and state-chartered, state-regulated credit unions had to have something to do with the other 50%. Sure. So it's just, the state is placing barriers in front of our doors.
What's the likelihood of the governor signing this bill? And when would it go into effect if he does?
The governor, I believe, has until November 5th to either sign it or veto it. This is anti-competitive because the mortgage professionals out there, the mortgage brokers, were the only people that were able to get the Latino community, the African-American community loans back in the day when nobody else was doing loans for them. Who got them loans? The mortgage brokers. Because the mortgage brokers had access to other loans. If you walk into ABC Bank, right, you got three choices. Whatever ABC Bank offers, right? It's like walking into Burger King trying to order Big Mac. You can't do it. You got to read what's off the menu. You come to a mortgage professional, we're dealing with 70 different lenders. We've got different options. If you're a little credit challenged, if you missed 3 mortgage payments and go into a corner brick and mortar bank, hit the road, Jack. Right. Have a nice day. But you know, that's why mortgage professionals got different options that those brick and mortar banks won't do. It's an anti-competitive bill. It's not an equal playing field.
I'm sure if it does get signed, I'm sure someone in your industry is.
Oh, you better believe it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you want to stop the garbage that's going on, I met with Karen May, Representative Karen May, up in Highland Park, Highwood, Riverwoods, Deerfield area, and she had a great idea, and I never heard this term before, but she said you need complete sunshine, and I'm like, okay, okay, great, we need complete sunshine. What's sunshine? She's like, you need to know who everybody's on the bill. Whoever worked on that loan, everybody's name goes on it. And we've mentioned that on my radio show a number of times. I've been mentioning this for the past 2 years, and there's a bill down in Springfield right now that's being blocked because they don't want it to go into play. You want to know who's causing foreclosures? Then you put down David Hochberg was a mortgage broker. ABC appraisal company did the appraisal. This guy did the title. These were the realtors. These were the real estate attorneys. This was the title company. This was the home inspection. And then if you see a pattern of things going bad, because things go into foreclosures, guys, people die. People lose their jobs. Sure. People can't control their spending. Real estate taxes going up. I mean, pick up the paper. Every day the real estate taxes are going up. Things happen that people go into foreclosures. It's not the big, big mortgage broker boogeyman that's causing all these problems. It's called life. But if you see a pattern of that the same mortgage broker and the same realtor and the same attorney and the same appraiser are doing something, then you've got something to go after these people. Don't just start passing laws to pass laws.
Yeah, there's already laws to prevent that.
Enforce the laws you have.
That's right.
Ridiculous.
Now, there's also some activity on the federal level. I don't know if you're aware, because it's just coming down right now. Representative Barney Frank is trying to amend the Federal Truth in Lending Act, and they want to license brokers nationwide and have a federal database. What is your thought on that?
I'm all for that. If you're going to I'm registered here in the state of Illinois. I passed a Illinois state mortgage test. Some 20,000 people, I think it was like 27,000 people took the test. Only 16,000 people passed. Looks to me you're thinning the herd. Okay? If you can't pass this test, it's not that tough. Okay? You study for a night, you can pass the test if you know what you're doing. All right? Then I had to go through an FBI background check. Take my fingerprints, send it to the FBI, I'm clean. Great. Weeded the herd a little bit more, right? Because you got all the crooks out of the business.
You don't know exactly.
You don't know who's doing the business. So you thin the herd there. My thing is, it started out as only mortgage brokers, but in Barney Frank's bill, it's mortgage originators. Hallelujah. Okay, if you're going to do it for one, do it for all. Sure. And I'm a big fan of it. Put me head to head with any loan officer in this state.
Right, but in the state of Illinois, brokers are being singled out as a problem for this. And really, you didn't have the power to yay or nay the loan. All you did was bring a future homeowner to the lender. Now, let me ask you a question here, because we've got to move forward on this. How do we get out of this predicament? Obviously, the subprime crisis, the foreclosure crisis, those subprime loans are really not there anymore, correct? The no-doc, the ARMs. Can you do them anymore?
The lenders have tightened their guidelines. The problem, the market has corrected itself. Okay? The day where you could get a 580 credit score, which isn't a very good credit score. Anything south of 600, you're in trouble. Okay? Which means that you've had credit problems in the past if you're under 600. The days of getting a 95 to 100% loan with a 580 credit scores are done. Those guys who are under there can't get loans. Okay, the max loan to value you can do on those loans now are like 80, 85, and that's where they should have been. But the mortgage brokers didn't set the guidelines for those loans. Wall Street set the guidelines because it came out with billions of dollars worth of funds to buy high-yielding loans in the marketplace. They were borrowing money at 2-3% back in the day. And they were coming to us saying we could do loans for credit challenged people at 8.5%, 9%. We could do loans for people with good credit, but we're doing investment properties that wanted to do it with no money down. Okay? Well, if you're an investor and you can verify your income and you can buy a piece of property for no money down when you can never do that before, well, what did that do? That just churned the real estate market, because now you've got investors with good credit. You got a guy with 700 credit scores. Okay? You got a couple over here, Joe and Sally, 700 credit scores, wants to buy a 2-unit building with no money down, fix it up, put a couple of renters in there, and start making money. They could do that, but their rate might have been at 8, 9%. They couldn't get that money before. They couldn't get that loan. So they fix it up, place appraisals for $50,000 more, whatever, then they refinance back into a lower loan. They just took a garbage piece of property, renovated it, made it beautiful, put a couple of renters in there, increased the value of that property, increased the value of the neighborhood, were able to refinance into a lower rate. It was cash positive. Everybody won. But that loan became available for everybody. Sure. And then people just went crazy, and then it got nuts.
And that's the problem, because if you don't have the financial ability to back it up, then you're going to have a problem.
And you're going to walk away from a property that you don't have any money in. Okay, and that's what's happening now. Even if you got that 9% loan and you didn't put a nickel into it and you can't afford it, here are the keys. All right, I completely destroyed my credit for a couple of years. Have a nice day. I'm gone. And then you got the problems. Well, you know what? You got to look at the borrower too. Okay, because the borrower said that they could agree to make the payments. Okay, are there bad lenders out there? Absolutely.
The borrower can't make the payment now. So now the government is throwing it back onto the lenders to rework these loans. And Moody's has reported that only 1% of these loans have been reworked.
Right.
So is this just a shell game? Are they going to rework these loans?
I can't answer those questions because I'm not working for the lenders. I can tell you that the lenders are giving such unbelievably bad advice to people. I talked to a lady yesterday that couldn't make the mortgage payment, and the lender said that we couldn't help them. We couldn't help her. They couldn't help. The lender couldn't help the borrower until the borrower missed 2 mortgage payments.
What? That's ridiculous.
Now, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't, I'm not making this up. Lady called me up and said, we've had our house on the market for 16 months. 17, 18 months ago, we had great credit. We couldn't afford this house, put it on the market 16 months ago, because we wanted to get out. Now, they're running out of money. Okay, what they should have done was 20 months ago, taken out a line of credit against their house when it was available, because they have equity in their house. To take out a line of credit, to get them through the tough times if they can't sell, in case they ran out of money, because who the heck thought it would take them 16 months to sell, right? Which they didn't do, so whose fault is that? Their own. And now they're at the end of their strength, have got no money, can't sell their house, and now they got 2 late mortgage payments. So now they can't go anywhere. And even if they went to buy a house, they have no money for the down payment because they have no equity in their house, because they lowered the price so much, and they have terrible credit. So now they're completely screwed on both sides of the table.
Are they going to come and see you, Dave?
Yeah. Sure. I actually gave you a number because there's nothing I can do.
Speaking of that, that's a good segue because I wanted to mention to you that there's currently 3 proposals in committee right now regarding modifying Chapter 13s, which are reorganization plans, typically home saver cases. There's a bill by Senator Durbin, Senate 2136. Senator Specter has a bill, 2133, and Representative Miller has a bill, 3609. These are efforts to change Chapter 13 laws to allow people who got into bad second and third mortgages to actually pay just the fair market value of the loan, and any amount that's oversecured to be stripped. And this is something that you currently can't do in Chapter 13. Mortgages cannot be adjusted. And this would be kind of a great way for a homeowner to kind of level the playing field, so to speak, with a lender who gave a loan that they really shouldn't have had for more than what the property was worth. Do you have a thought on that legislation?
Anything that can help the borrower out of a tough time, I'm for. But the problem that you're having with Chapter 13s right now is that you got people in these 2- and 3-year arms that are like 6 to 8 months prior to them adjusting, filing a 13. Okay? Now, the problem is you can't refinance those people before, because now they're in the 13. They haven't been in the 13 for a year. They have no payment history. You typically would need 1 year's worth of payment history from the trustee or from the bankruptcy attorney showing that they've been on time. Now these people, and these poor people, I feel terrible for them. They're like 6 months before the adjustment's going to happen. And what happens? They filed Chapter 13 or Chapter 7, and there's no lender on this planet today because of what just happened. Right. With the subprime shakeout. All those lenders that did those loans are out of business. Okay, now you got these people trapped. They've got the bankruptcy payback, okay, which is higher than what they're used to paying, and now they've got their adjustment going up another $500 a month, and they're completely done.
Where's the GSEs? Where's the government-sponsored enterprises? The Fannie Mae, the Freddie Mac.
It's there.
Every 2 weeks, somebody steps up to a podium at a press conference with some new initiative, the FHA initiative,
right,
or the new loan program, making promises, coming up with solutions. We're all going to work together.
It's all BS.
I haven't seen anything.
It's all BS. Listen.
But that would be a solution to the type of debtor that you're talking about who's in a 13 and is about to adjust.
Here, if you want to help the problem, increase conforming loan limits to $600,000 in this area. Okay? Increase those. The reason FHA, they say these subprime loans, they should have went into FHA. That's such a lie. Okay, number one, FHA didn't do stated income loans. Number two, if you had a couple of late mortgage payments, FHA wasn't going to touch you. So let's talk about the facts. Okay, all these people, you should have put them into FHA loans. Guess what? You be a legislator and write laws and rules about stuff you know nothing about. And I'll be a mortgage broker, and I'll tell you what I could do. Okay, FHA wasn't taking those people. FHA wouldn't go above $270-something thousand. So everybody over 300 Gs could get an FHA loan, especially in a metropolitan area. If you were out in the surrounding areas, out in the suburbs, way west, the FHA loan limits are like $170 grand. So FHA wasn't the be-all, do-all to protect everybody. Okay? Problem is, the politicians are there to get reelected. The politicians will stand up and say anything so they can get the damn name in the paper and make them look like they're the savior. Okay? Which is ridiculous. If you want to solve the problem, then you know what? Let's loosen up Fannie Mae guidelines to handle people in Chapter 13s. Because you can't get a Chapter 13 payoff in a Fannie Mae loan unless it's been filed. It's been like 2 years since it's filed. Okay? If you want to help people out in these subprime loans that got two loans, right? Conforming loan limits will not allow you to combine the first and the second loan together in a conforming loan limit unless it was a purchase money for the second loan or it's considered cash out. Okay? If you want to do stuff, increase conforming loan limits, increase Fannie Mae cash out restrictions to 95%. You want a cash out loan right now, you have to do an FHA loan. Guess what? A lot of people that need help that are in these subprime loans have loans above $270,000.
Sure.
So FHA is not going to bail them out. Okay? It's all rhetoric. It's all crap is what it is. But you know what? They get to stand in front of the cameras and say that we're trying to solve the problem. Okay? It's not doing a damn thing.
Yeah, it seems to be a little tit-for-tat taffy pull where someone from the Democratic Party steps up and says the administration needs to do more for these people. Then the next week, someone from the administration steps up and says, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And it's illusory. It's empty rhetoric, and nothing is happening. Again, Moody's has reported only 1% of the loans have been reworked. 1% is not going to cut it.
Who rated those bonds before it went to the CBOs?
Exactly.
Moody's, Standard & Poor's, they're part of the problem.
Right.
Okay, they let these bonds go without rating them appropriately.
Another problem is that the lender did not retain control of the loan. They bundled it and packaged it and securitized it,
sold it right off.
And investors purchased it. So there's no incentive for the servicers to rework these loans. They're not getting paid extra to rework people's loans.
Listen, these guys are making billions of dollars packaging these things and selling them into the open marketplace. They were selling A paper when it was really B minus. And whose fault is that? Is it the mortgage broker's fault? Is it the borrower's fault? It's a major problem all the way down the line, guys. Okay, and there's a lot of people to be blamed, and you can't just blame the mortgage brokers.
I went through this before with bankruptcy where the debtor was blamed on everything and that they had the ability to repay. You know what? They don't.
Right.
You're feeling it right now with the broker industry. You're getting an unfair, in my opinion, finger pointed at you, and you didn't make the loans, okay? You just brought the
loan to the table.
Jesse, thanks for joining us again on Legal Action. I want to thank David Hochberg from Townstone Financial for visiting us with us today. He can be reached at 312-896-2111. I'm Dave Siegel. Take care. We'll see you next time on Legal Action.
Yep.
Yeah.